على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه ومن والاه. Brothers, there is a moral principle among us. We all know that there's a moral principle that is innately we believe that it's innately Allah Azza wa Jal created us with this moral principle. It's common among all of us. We believe in this principle, even if we do not practice it in our life. And this is believing that we have to love for others what we love for ourselves. We have to hate for others what we hate for ourselves. And this is a moral principle. We all know this. And we look at a child who hasn't known our world, which is full of selfishness, greediness, and stinginess, and just everything. For me, this child, because he hasn't experienced such a world. You see, when he has something and you ask him to give it to you, immediately he gives it to you. Because he loves for you what he loves for himself. But you see, after that, maybe just after a few years, he changes. Because he experienced our world, he will be changed. So what I mean here is that this moral principle, to love for others what you love for yourself, is something that's common among all of us. We all believe innately, deep in our heart, we believe in this moral principle. And that's why we see all other religions, they call their followers to follow and to implement this moral principle in their life. The same with Islam. Islam is also Islam calls people for such a principle, holding such a principle in Muslims in their life. But what Islam brings, something new, is distinctive here, is the way Islam calls people to do this. Because all other religions, what they do is that they advise their followers to do it just as an advice. They don't go further. But what Islam says, goes further than just an advice. It's a commandment from Allah Azza wa Jal to do this. It's a commandment from Allah. That is, and let's look at this moral principle in an Islamic version, or in a prophetic version. How the Prophet ﷺ commands Muslims to implement this moral principle in their lives. The Prophet ﷺ says, no one has believed, or no one has faith, or no one believes until he loves for others what he loves for himself, and vice versa, as ulama says, until he hates for his brother what he hates for himself. And that's the Prophet ﷺ is saying. So what Islam here teaches us is that you cannot have a perfect iman until you follow this moral principle, until you implement this moral principle in your life. You cannot claim that you are really Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ says, is like if you disconnect this moral principle from your life, from your iman, your iman is like flashing. It's telling you there's an error with your iman. You have to connect it to this moral principle. You have to practice the Islamic values in your life. Otherwise, our iman is incomplete. Just to correct a misconception on this hadith, maybe some people, they understand when the Prophet ﷺ says, you have no iman if you don't follow this moral principle. They think that this person becomes kafir. No, that's not what the Prophet ﷺ says. He says your iman is incomplete. It's not complete. It's not a perfect iman. It's not what it should be. It's like what we say in our daily life. For example, we hate someone and we say that this person is not a human being. We don't mean that he's an animal who is. No, we mean that he has no moral principle, or he's not following these principles, or he's a bad person. He has no good characters. That's what we mean by that. So the Prophet ﷺ says that this person has imperfect iman. His iman is imperfect. So look at the link between religion, between iman and morality, between words and actions. This is how the Prophet ﷺ commands us to follow this principle. And that's why our responsibility as Muslims is much, much bigger than others. in dealing with such an issue. If someone who's not a Muslim, who's not following, if he does not follow this moral principle, if he does not care about others, if he just wants everything for himself, this person, he is just only disobeying his nature, his innate, what we call it al-fitra. So he has committed just one sin. But we as Muslims, if we become like this person, we are committing two sins. Because we are disobeying our nature. We are going against our nature. And also we are going against the commandment of the Prophet ﷺ here. So we have to be careful on this issue. And you may say that what's the point of this khutbah? So we all know that since I was a child, I memorized this hadith from the Prophet, and we know all these things, and you haven't brought anything new. I say, yes, that's true. But yes, the topic of this khutbah is really simple. But do we know the importance of this topic? If we really implement it in our life, if we really apply this moral principle in our life, this might not be the case. Because if we really implement this moral principle in our life, wallahi, our life will stabilize. We don't see all the problems, all the killing and lying to each other and breaking promises and deceiving each other. We don't see all these problems because you don't deceive others. Because you say, I shouldn't do that because I don't want it for myself. You don't lie to others because you say, I don't want people to lie to me. You don't break promises because you don't want it for people. So the same with all these things. We ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to give us guidance. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات اللهم ارحم موتانا واشف مرضانا وسلم أحياءنا وآمن روعاتنا اللهم انصر المسلمين المستضعفين في كل مكان اللهم انصر المسلمين المستضعفين في كل مكان اللهم انصر المسلمين المستضعفين في كل مكان اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون ولذكر الله أكبر. أقم الصلاة ورحمة الله.